My name is Florence Okudele, and I'm the chair of the board of directors for the Coalition of Manitoba Cultural Communities and Families. I want to welcome everyone here this morning to the series of dialogue which will be happening till the end of this year. These dialogues will be focusing attention on the theme of envisioning the future of Manitoba cultural communities. Before we start, I would like to share with you a video from the Federal Minister of Diversity, Inclusion, and Persons with Disabilities of Canada, Her Honorable Kamal Khera.
Hello, bonjour. I want to begin by thanking Coalition of Manitoba Cultural Communities for Families for inviting me to participate in today's important series of discussions on the future of cultural communities in Manitoba. Our government is proud to support the Coalition of Manitoba Cultural Communities with $280,000 in funding to help launch these discussions and to pursue your greater goal of bringing together members from a diverse range of cultural communities to communicate in an open, safe, and respectful environment. You know, in Canada, diversity is a fact, but inclusion is a choice. And it is a choice that all of you are making by being here today. You're making a choice of a better, brighter future for your communities, for Manitoba, and for all of Canada. I know your discussions will be thoughtful, engaging, and productive, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you for your work in celebrating Canada's diversity and making our country a more inclusive place for all Canadians.
Thank you, Minister. I would also want to welcome all the participants around the table and our guests who are joining us today. I would like to thank our funders of the Government of Canada, the Department of Canadian Heritage, and the Winnipeg Foundation, who provided the support for this series. Thank you, Sylvie and Nanette, who have joined us for this discussion. We are proud to deliver this event alongside our partner organizations, Manitoba Association of Newcomer Serving Organizations, MANSO, African Communities of Manitoba, ACOMI, the Ethnocultural Council of Manitoba, EECM, and the Manitoba Islamic Association, MIA. We wish to thank our video production partner of U-Multicultural Media for their support and guidance for our video studio production taking place here at Shaw Studios here in Winnipeg. C.M.C.C.F is a non-profit organization that brings together through dialogue diverse individuals to promote the well-being of Manitoba cultural communities. We are here dedicated to building relationships based on trust and respect and dignity. For the past number of years, we've been working within our cultural community networks to reduce vulnerabilities and amplify diverse voices to create safe spaces that meet the needs of our communities by engaging service providers and policymakers. Promoting social justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion is essential for creating a more inclusive and equitable society for all. And I'm sure everyone agrees to this. In order to do this, we believe it is important for communities to come together like we are doing today and discuss important issues and themes such as social justice and equity, diversity, inclusion, health and wellness, cultural preservation, democracy and democratic practices, and all forms of community development and growth, which has several meanings, including to value or to admire highly, and to recognize with gratitude. Inquiry or asking questions should take precedence over appreciative. Appreciation without inquiry is not much more than happy talk and lacks any real power to foster change in the community. By using this approach to dialogue, we've made a conscious and deliberate choice about the kind of question we'll be asking today. We know that when initiating change in community and applying the AI lens, we will be focusing on people's experiences of being their best. On behalf of our board and staff and consultants, forgot to mention our consultants, I wish you great conversations, meaningful future visioning of our cultural communities, and through your hands, building models of our future cultural communities and new roles for our communities, sustaining and strengthening Manitoba's social fabric. So I'll be introducing Jasmine Alfaro. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce you, Jasmine. Jasmine Alfaro to provide us with her perspective on our theme for today. Jasmine is the Migrant Worker Project Coordinator for MANSO. I am informed by Dawn that Jasmine is a passionate and informed advocate. She came from El Salvador as a little girl to Manitoba. She brings joy wherever she goes. Thank you for your insightful comment, Jasmine. You're welcome. As you should. Thank you.
I'm kind of nervous up here. What a formal process. Thank you, by the way, for the introduction, and thank you for the bio, Dawn. It was very beautiful. So why are we here today? Each of you have been identified as people who are doing incredible work, are contributing in such positive ways in what it is that you do at work, in exchange with your neighbors that you see on the street, and who it is that you are in your cultural communities, in your online communities, in really all that you do. So today is an attempt to connect and collaborate together, to learn your insights, to learn hopefully new perspectives and ways that we can share our voices. Because I really do feel that that is part of our benefit for all of our time here today, to connect, to learn, but then also be able to elevate our voices onto a wider platform and hopefully get the, sorry, I got nervous there for a moment, Dawn took a photo. And hopefully also to have other folks to learn alongside us, to learn alongside our perspectives, our insights. Okay. And so I was asked to bring my voice just in the beginning of conversations, somewhat of a chance event, and I think perhaps also in alignment to the types of experiences that we have all had. I had a meeting once with my colleague. We had a meeting about an hour after that, and he had a meeting in between, and that's how I got to know Martin and Kathleen and other folks who were organizing, and that's how I became involved here today. And I've been asked to bring forth some of the general concepts and help us get our minds around the discussions today. And so I've been asked to step in the future. The year is 2040, and we are looking back on today. The questions that we have to share, they may have come, that they may have made a difference over these years together. The questions brought forth are varied, and they will be completely different dependent on who it is that you are, how it is that you see the world. And really we're asking, had I relied on my cultural community to maintain a strong connection to community for creation of sense of identity, belonging, and well-being, what are those aspects that were needed? Had I relied on my cultural community as a valuable resource to provide me and form mentorship, connection to faith, to networks, how had they supported me? And how were others like me supported? So I'll expand on thinking back from that future. We see that cultural communities should have engaged in intergenerational dialogues to create opportunity for open and respectful conversation between older and young. I see cultural communities should have encouraged us to use inclusive language that respected diverse identities and orientations. I see that cultural communities should have provided mentorship opportunities and role models to those from diverse communities within our own communities, including LGBTQ+, women, and other visible minorities, all as respected and equal voices. I see that cultural communities should have recognized and celebrated the accomplishments and contributions of us as individuals and as collective members. I see that cultural communities would have embraced change, recognized that societies evolve, that cultural communities must evolve too, and that needs to have encouraged diverse individuals to take on leadership roles within our networks. And when we think of community, they would have supported mental health by recognizing the importance of time to reflect, of space for us to occupy, and that we are part of the broader community that have helped shift perceptions and promote inclusivity. And in continuing this community dialogue, we are in conversation and collaboration about the futures of cultural communities in Canada, recognizing leadership within the streets and avenues that we live on and occupy on Indigenous lands, recognizing reconciliation as part of our future within neighborhoods in the municipalities or cities that we live in, and also recognizing our connections locally, networks, community groups, and thinking beyond to some of the larger connections we have, either as women, as men, as advisors, as students, as learners. So, united to promote the well-being of cultural communities, I thank you so much for your time and space that you take here. Please take it. Please say what you need to say. Please learn, please share. We have all so much to learn from each other. Thank you.
Thank you once again. I would like to introduce Paul, Chair of the Board for the U-Multicultural Channel Media, to introduce the staff and directors for today's session.
Thank you, Florence. Really appreciate the welcome. My name is Paul O'Bergentum. I am the chairman of the board for U-Multicultural. We are an organization that strives to provide a voice for anybody who wants a voice, any culture, any language. We've been doing this now for approximately 4 years. We represent approximately 30 different cultures right now, including Indigenous culture as well. We do several Indigenous programming, such as residential schools. We also provide programming for Indigenous languages. Right now, at the moment, we have several employees under U-Multicultural who are here today. We have Yulia on camera. She's one of our Ukrainian journalists. We have Zuhur, who happens to be in the control room. He's taking care of the Muslim community. We have Ryan, who takes care of our radio. Again, various cultures, various programming. And we also have, of course, Taya, who's our executive director. She drives a bus. So she's the one that keeps us all in line and keeps things under control. I'd like to also thank our supporting partners for being here today. And it's a big deal for us because we like to work with different communities and different partners. And moving forward, we would love to do more collaboration with all these partners because we do believe in your vision. So thank you again for having us here, and thank you very much for doing this as well with us. So thank you, and have a great day.
I would like to introduce my co-facilitators, Kathleen and Martin. I know I've spoken about them before. Martin is the executive director for C.M.C.C.F, and Kathleen is the project manager for EECM. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank
and
you.
Martin.
All right. Thanks, Florence.
You're welcome.
All right. So hello and welcome, everyone. I'm just going to do some, just a quick little intro to what's happening today, and then I'm going to hand it over to Martin. So as Jasmine mentioned, really today is about dialogue. We want to hear your voice, get your inputs on the way that this project that we're doing right now will sort of evolve and what will come out of it. So hearing from each of you is extremely important. So you'll see at your tables there's lots of stuff on it right now. So throughout the day, we do ask that you use some of those resources to write things down. There's Post-it notes. We're going to get you to up and moving around. You'll see things on the walls as well to sort of help promote that dialogue and foster some of those ideas. So anytime something pops up into your head that you want, write it down on a piece of paper. We're going to collect all of that, and we're going to go through all of that at the end of the day. We are also, I think there's on your tables you'll see what we call our norms. So things to sort of help generate those ideas and lead us through these conversations. So things like remembering when we're thinking of ideas, remembering that we're thinking of it as in the future. So I think Martin's using the year 2030 I've seen pop up around here, which doesn't seem that far away, but we're going to use that number in our mind. So in the next 7 years, where do we think the future of cultural communities will be? And the work that C.M.C.C.F is doing, where will it lead to from there? So really we want you to sort of stretch your current thinking. We want you to envision the brightest future together, and help us sort of draft what future conversations will look like for our organization. Martin and I are the co-facilitators for today, so we will be around to help you if you're stuck in conversation. If you have any questions or clarifications that you need, just sort of seek out one of us. We'll be walking around, and then we're going to help just sort of with that dialogue. So help sort of guide those conversations. 2040. We added another 10 years. Cool. So just think about it in the future for sure, giving us maybe a decade or two. So I'm going to hand it over to Martin to go over a little bit more rules, but I'm around. I'm really excited to have conversations with you today. So
Thanks.
I'll go it over to Martin.
So a couple things, just to be very clear. You do not have the norms, but we do have handouts for you that we'll be passing on before our first round. Before I go forward, I want to bring Steve forward to do an important element of our work today. In your briefing note that you received, have most of you read the briefing note, at least something within the briefing note? You have copies that you were given at the very beginning as you walked in. Those briefing notes would have identified 9 themes that we want you to think about today and to select from for your conversation. One of the other lenses we want you to think about it, because we have people from out of Winnipeg here today, we want you to think about rural Manitoba as well, and that lens within the context of the conversations you're having today. But to begin the process, we need you to actually help us identify the 5 themes that you're going to be speaking about and actually deliberating on today. So I'll pass this on to Steve.
I'm Steve Felger. I'm a member of the C.M.C.C.F team, and I know that you're in for a treat today as we go through our dialogue. You've already heard from Florence and from Kathleen a little bit about the appreciative inquiry process that we're going to be using. The best way for those of you who are unfamiliar with it is to just experience it as we go through a number of phases in the dialogue today. A couple of things that I'll just mention about it is that it's very much a focus on being strength-based. It's going to be very positive. We want you to think about the future of cultural communities in 2030, 2040, but we want you to think of it also in terms of the strengths and assets that communities already bring to the table. As we go through, you'll see that this is really about not only thinking about the future, but dreaming about the future. What are the possibilities for cultural communities from your perspective? So those are things that we will keep coming back to. But what I want to do is just take a moment to get us started on this process. Martin mentioned the themes that we had sent out to you in a briefing document a while ago. You also received this morning when you came in a shortened version of that. So if you have it in front of you, I just ask you to just take it out, because what I'd like you to do over the next couple of minutes is to basically review all of those themes and begin to identify for yourself what would be the top 3 priorities that are most relevant and meaningful to you, that if you had an opportunity to participate in a dialogue about them, would be the things that you would like to talk about today. On your table, you'll find Post-it notes. What we would like you to do to start is to identify your top 3 priorities. So on each single piece of Post-it note, we'd like you to identify the title of the theme, whether it's your first, second, or third choice, and to put your name on that Post-it note as well. Once you've had a chance to do that, if you haven't noticed on the walls behind you, you will see all 9 of those themes. What we would ask you to do is then take a couple of minutes to go with your Post-it note and put it with the theme that's on the wall. What we will then do is give you an opportunity to actually then move into a group that you've identified as potentially one you would like to speak about today, because it's a priority conversation for you, which will mean that we will then be moving people around to the various tables, so you'll be with folks who have identified similar themes of priority. So with that, let me just check if there's any questions about that process before we give you a few minutes to think it through, identify your priorities, and then we'll have you move to the tables that will reflect the theme itself. And we will number each of the tables so you'll know which table to go to. So if there are no questions on that, again, I just want to thank all of you for joining. We're looking forward to an amazing conversation and learning from all of you, and for you sharing your wisdom and the future of communities. So we'll give you a few minutes to do that. And if there are any questions through the process, just please feel free to ask us.
Has anybody been speaking about the future of cultural communities in the context of our society? So we went out and started speaking to policymakers here in Winnipeg and across Canada. And the message was, never thought of that, that's not our agenda. Shocking, really shocking, especially since Canada has actually increased its population by 1 million people in the last 4 years. Manitoba's population of immigrants is 20%. I mean, we're looking at large numbers of people, but we're not talking about the communities that they come from, but more importantly, how the communities support them. Because we know over and over again, and we've had conversations with ACOMI, with other organizations, who said, we are delivering a lot of these programs and we don't have any resources. And we're helping all the time, but we're a community and no one's recognizing that we exist. So we thought, time to put it on the map. And that's why this is the first conversation of many. And we believe because we're doing this in a way that's documenting this conversation and the other 4 conversations that are coming forward in the next month or couple of months, we're going to have on our website really good information and ideas and people speaking about what matters to community. So I wanted to let you know that's the reason why we're here today. And we're really passionate that this is a really important story to tell. So if you have other ideas about how to share this information, but also when the videos are being produced and they'll be edited, this one will be out within 2 weeks on our website. It's going to be shared with our 4 partners. It's going to be on U-Multicultural site. Take it and actually remind us who you want to share that with and actually ensure you actually direct people to this video and the other 4 that are going to be produced after that. And I would probably think this is not a bad conversation to have with the new government as well, which I think makes a lot of sense. So let's agree today that this is a conversation we need to carry on and we need to spread widely to all of our community organizations. Because we know many of the organizations are fatigued, leadership is waning, all those issues. Those are the negative things. But today we're talking about what's the future needing to become. So we're actually planning and actually planting ideas about the future today that we will actually generate the resources and marshal resources to move toward together. So that's really our objective for today. And that's really, in a sense, that's the reason why we are here. And this is why we need to start this conversation today.
So at your table, identify somebody to be a recorder. So while you're having your dialogue and your discussions, to just take notes of some important points that come up or things that you would like to have discussed further or bring to the attention of the facilitators and the staff. Like I said, Martin and I will be walking around while you're having that dialogue. If you have any questions, feel free to connect with both of us and we can help sort of guide you through the discussion. And then for all of you at the table, please, again, we want to really encourage you to just speak your mind. If things come up, you'll also see at your table, there's paper that's pasted down. Everyone learns differently, everyone processes differently. Feel free to doodle on that paper. All of this stuff we will collect and we will go through later. So yeah, if something comes up, grab a marker out of the bin or a pen and doodle on that paper, on your Post-it notes, anything like that. We really want to foster good conversation today, okay? So we just want to encourage that.
We had 2040 and you're looking backwards to today and what's been successful. So when you actually are into your themes, don't talk about what's not working, what the problem areas are. Think about it in terms of why have we been successful in that, in achieving that specific theme. That's really important. So I think as Florence identified in terms of appreciative inquiry, it's appreciating what works and what has happened in a way that moves us forward, not that takes us backwards. That's number 1. And 2, when we start thinking about inquiry, the questions we're going to give you, as I think Steve identified, are specifically focused on how to move forward. So please be aware, if anybody decides to move backwards, remind them to move forwards. So I'm handing out the questions for the first round. But before we do that, as I'm handing this out, who's actually doing the introduction? Oh, Perla, wherever you are, you're doing the introduction. You're going back to that table, don't worry. We're not taking you.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to be part of this exciting and fun exercise. I've been in one when we did it in our community, so I'm pretty sure it will be a really fruitful and enjoyable experience for everyone. So my role is to introduce round 1. The question we are answering is, who are you and why are you here? So in the context of envisioning, our theme of envisioning the future of Manitoba's cultural community, discovery, which will be a shared explanation of everyone, would involve identifying and celebrating the existing strengths, assets, and successes within these communities. By doing so, it enables a positive and empowering approach to envisioning the future, where the focus shifts from challenges, where we see problems, what's not working, to building upon the richness of cultural diversity and community achievements. This approach not only enhances the sense of pride and collaboration among cultural communities, but also lays a solid foundation for designing a brighter and more inclusive future for Manitoba's cultural landscape. By focusing on discovery in this theme, participants can gain valuable insights into what has been working well, highlighting best practices, and understanding the unique cultural assets that can be leveraged for our shared future. This set of stage for a more informed, optimistic vision for the future, where these strengths can be further nurtured and enhanced. So at this point in time, I'd like to call Martin to provide us with more detailed information. So thank you and have fun.
Thank you, Perla. Thank you, found a place. So you see, thanks, Perla. So you see in front of you in the handout, there are 3 questions we want you to consider in your conversation today. As Kathleen identified, we want one person at the team to help facilitate the conversation, one a recorder, and the recorder's job in 30 minutes is to actually give us 5 important ideas that have emerged based on those questions and place them on your flip chart on the side of the table. I'll let you know when to do that. So please select somebody who's facilitating, somebody who's the recorder, and at the end of this in 30 minutes, 5 ideas that have emerged based on the questions that have been asked. Okay? Okay, so let's go. So what we're going to be doing is actually summarizing your actual experience, the questions that were asked, and the 5 ideas that have emerged based on your theme. Who wants to start? You want to start first?
Okay.
Okay.
Our group discussed preservation of cultural communities. So all of us here, we chose it as our first choice, which is very, very key to to our mind. And from what we have listed here, preservation of identity is very, very important. And that means our language, our food, our dressing, our belief, our cultural beliefs. And we know that with all this, since we are coming from diverse backgrounds, and we don't want to lose any of this, which is very, very important to us, and want to, give it to the next generation that is coming. So be it in 20 years, 30 years, or 40 years, these children that we have will still have our language, which is very, very important to us. Our food is important. We come with different types of food. We come here also, we see other type of food which we embrace. And then our belief, we believe in different things. We have Christians, we have Muslims, and we want to preserve that. So it's very, very important to us. And I pass to Noreen.
Thank you, Rita. So we had a really dynamic discussion today. It was really interesting. Second one we came up with was freedom of expression. So one of the things that's challenging is to be able to be yourself. So freedom of expression came out in different layers of dress, being who you are. Some people who, let's say, have an accent, that's a freedom of expression as well. Educating others along with that, but also individuals taking the initiative to educate themselves about other cultures. So, but there's a lot more to it, but I'll just pass it over to Rita.
We also have intergenerational continuity. We have, as a parent, I want my children, to know the stories behind us, the stories that were passed on to us. I want to tell them all the folktale stories that we were told, all the proverbs. We have it as a family. My husband is writing it down because the children are even asking for it. They are craving for it. They want to know, why do we do this? Why do we do that? We want to pass it on to them. And they are, by doing that, we are kind of creating that awareness in them, who they are. You don't want to lose who you are. Everything about you. Your name is important. I have a son who has a long name. He would rather tell you how to pronounce that name than you shortening that name. Which he says to you, if you shorten it, it loses its meaning. And it's very, very important to him. And for all of us too, I'm sure it's also the same thing. As we come from different backgrounds, we have different names, and it means a lot, to us. We don't want to lose our names. We don't want to lose our food. We don't want to lose our languages. We want to carry it on to the next generation. From generation to generation, it's passed on. And these children are proud of it. Very, very proud of it.
The next one was culture-dedicated events, and this really got all of us excited because those are the spaces where you're just like, yes, I'm home. So culture-dedicated events, I know there was Mo had mentioned about Folklorama being once a year, and that's very limited tokenism, and really, quite frankly. So culture-dedicated events was, what was really fascinating here was that it also brought different cultures together. It's not just isolated as just one homogenous culture. It was very intercultural. And that was really, exciting to hear when we came to that discussion.
And the last one is the continued networking events like this that we're having. Is very, very important. We are grateful that it's being, it's being conducted the way it is being conducted. Everybody is sharing, what is important to us, and we are bringing it forward for the government to know, wherever we are, the community to know what is important to us, for them to bring it to fore, to whoever is in the position to do something about it. Like we mentioned, one of the students here said, if the languages were taught in school also, if it's focused on, they will very much appreciate it. They have to learn the Arabic in the university, but if they had been taught, while they were little, that is going to help them. Although we teach as parents from home, but it may not be really enough, because they spend most of their time in school. So they have to now do like extra courses in school to learn the language, which is important to them. So by having this event is very, very important, and we hope to see more of it in future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who wants to go next? There you go.
In our group, we handle the question 5, which is cultivating leadership skills. If you see the board, there's a lot of rich conversation that went on here. And then we started our presentation by actually sharing an experience about a school principal who was nice to a parent. This parent had met a particular principal who came here at the age of 9, but at the time she met her, the principal was about 40-something, And so then met another principal in the same school, a different school, different location. But this principal was able to be so nice to this mother and was able to relate, and even told the mother, I came to this country at the age of 9, and this is what happened. So we built on that story and we came up with all this. And so we said the first thing is planting a seed. That we are working towards seeds are being planted. A very good seed is planted in the children right now, based on whatever activity is going on in the house, the exposure, the conversation, taking them out. And then we said they're going to have rich identity and a voice. I remember a principal saying we are hybrid. Say, Newcomer children, they are hybrid. They already have experience in their country and they're coming to Canada. And I only know Canada. That's what she said. And so these kids, these youth, future leaders are going to be like hybrid. They're able to balance up their culture and able to balance up what is expected in Canada. There's empathy, like the story of the principal. There was so much empathy in this particular principal. He was able to relate. And as a result of that, this principal even gave this lady a meeting, because she arrived in October, late October, and there was cold. She was really cold. And it really endeared this mother to this particular principal. And that he could relate and translate that particular experience in empowering this newcomer parents. So we joined this because we said 5, we didn't want to miss representation, clear vision, and clear goals. As a youth that is well empowered, there's that clear vision. They know where they are going to. And that makes you a better representative of who you are. You're able to speak. You're able to be open because you were received. And you were, you were received and you want to pass back that. I've met people who say, this is what happened to me, you have to experience it. And I've met people who say, I want to change the narrative. And I've met people say, even though my experience was bad, but now I'm in Canada, I want to share something better. So we say, with that you have a better vision, a better goal, and what to give out. And then we talked about integration. Integration is big, it's just all encompassing. What are we going to do to integrate well? So our youth are looking at, that aspect of integration, and with that will come with compassion, not just compliance. Not just compliance, but compassion, because compassion makes you go beyond the borders, makes you think outside the box. So that is the 2040 youth leaders who are going to emerge based on what we are doing. And like we said, part of this is a process of that integration. So I've shared that, but I think we leave the other one for now. Thank you so much, group. And this is a product of this group. Thank you.
Our topic is representation by promoting cultural sensitivity and responsiveness through tradition, communities, structures, and processes. We came up with, through our discussion, everybody was great at this table and everybody was very passionate about our topic. So our first one is, together and through collaboration, we can find solutions and build a bright future. Yes, we can do that. When we came, we gave an example, as most of us have children here. Some of us brought our children here. Our children are growing. Our numbers are growing. So in the year 2040, we're going to have a large multicultural community here, which is a positive thing. With that, we are hoping our children will be able to learn our culture, appreciate our culture. We want to create more awareness. At the same time, we want to also have the chance, which we've been told or we learn that it's been improved these days, especially child and family services. We know what people go through, children being apprehended, on and on and on. Families breaking down because of the culture here, because we bring in our culture and then we have the Canadian culture here. But we are growing, and so we are hoping by the year 2040, we will be able to have that improved. Improvement is going on, and most of the children, working, but we're hoping to be far. And then number two, we said we highlighted the importance of multicultural involved in all government and community systems. Example, the schools, housing, employment and stuff. We will like to, or we're hoping we will, to be involved in all that multiculturalism and have more of our community organizations being set up, resources being given to them. Sometimes it's very difficult for the smaller communities to even build up. Structures are not there. And bringing our culture here, we are hoping that it will be more improved. Sometimes there are even no resources for the smaller ones to have their organization moving on. But we gave an example where we have the African Communities of Manitoba, ACOMI, doing a great job, and they are incorporating most of the other smaller communities. Trainings have been going on. We have our sister who can attest to that here with the Sierra Leonean communities, that they've been improved and they're going on. So yes, those things are coming up. We also said validation that it's okay to be different in who we are. Yes, in the year 2040, we're gonna be so, chested, with our chests out walking, very proud of who we are and what we've become. We want our children, when they walk into an office for an interview, they won't have their heads down, they will have their heads up, because they know who they are. They've learned the culture, and they know the importance of what they can also bring into the Canadian community. We talk about, discover that we have been bring positive changes with some system, especially the child and family service that I mentioned. Sometimes it's not only child and family service, but family allowance even also brings a lot of issues when man and wife have to decide what the money is going to be used for, or who gets the money, and those kind of things. If we get more, or we will be getting more education on that, we will be oriented with all the system here, and ours will be implemented as well. What we do in our culture and who handles the money, we both do here in Canada, but we'll be able to put all these things together. The fifth one that we talked about is cultural communities are being resourced. Even though we haven't, in the year 2040, we will have most of the cultural resources, communities being resourced. There will be staffing. There will be receptionists who is being paid. We won't be told, no, you don't qualify for that. We will have all that being implemented, and there will be a shared vision among all the ethnocultural communities here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We have a very interesting topic here, integration. I'm sure if we hadn't done this well in the past, none of us would be here today, right? We all have different experiences of what integration means, right? So for us here, what we discussed was that how do we improve the mechanisms and processes of how we get integrated into Canadian culture. So now we're talking about, we're having this feeling of being welcome, right? Everyone comes in the airport, there's somebody waiting for you. When I came in here, the Sierra Leonean community visited me and I felt welcome, right? So you're giving the resources to settle, right? So we want more expanded mechanism to get more resources to settle. And then all these feelings come with it. I mean, this intrinsic feeling within you, bounce out. You feel accepted, you feel belonged, right? So, but then what also helped this is the fact that there are programs you can access when you come in, right? It's not that you're left in the in the desert or in the sea and nobody is here to help you. No, you have resources, you have programs. I mean, and all of those sense gives you the feeling within that you're not discriminated, right? Those access to those resources helps you to settle. It helps you to embrace the feeling that you're part of this community and you're not left alone. And then, of course, the feeling of finding a new home starts to creep in. Oh, now I've got a new home, a home away from home, I'm having all these resources, I'm having all these feelings within me. So you don't feel like just coming and leaving the next day, You want to build on the experience of what are those things that that we experience. And then, of course, you feel less anxiety, uncertainty, because when we leave our homes, we all come with different dreams. I mean, if the rate and manner at which you receive and access of resources can determine how you feel. So if you feel much more comfortable, then this is a home to settle. And I think Canada has offered that opportunity for all of us here. Now for question 2 and 3, we combine, and how do we build upon this, right? Well, this has already been said. We need more resources, we need more programs to facilitate and expand upon the existing programs we have now, especially for newcomers. And because we know more newcomers will come because of the way the world is at the moment. There are wars, there are droughts, there are natural events, so we have to expect newcomers. So how do we embrace those change would have to be something that we have to think about in the next 10 to 15 years. And then one other important aspect we talked about is the different communities. As of now, it seems like there are silo communities, right? You have the Sierra Leonean community here, you have the Indian community here, you have South American community. So we have to have a program where all of these events cluster together to celebrate our diversity and improve and promote our inclusive feelings and thinking. So we have to have those programs. I think Group 1 talks about Fokorama, right? The way Fokorama is organized as you have a week dedicated to one culture, to one continent. Probably we can think about a cluster where we have those different events cluster in 1 week, for example. Today is Africa, tomorrow is Latin America, the next day is Spanish, all of those things. So it will enable people to move into different, exposure to different cultures and different programs and activities, rather than just be focused on 1 week, on one program, on one continent, and then that's it. You're not motivated to move to another continent or to another system. And of course, we talked about the parenting style has to change. This is a very important thing, right? How do we get our children to embrace 2 cultures, right? The Canadian culture and their home culture. And sometimes it's quite a bit of a challenge if we don't include programs like parenting style. How do others have done it? How do we actually get our kids to embrace a new culture and at the same time maintain their existing or preserve their own culture? So it's something that is not been talked about much. I haven't benefited from it yet. I haven't seen any program that talks about how do you deal with the new parenting change. I mean, our children have to have this. So this in short are some of the points we discuss in this group. Thank you.
So we're just going to get started on the next portion of, we have 2 more activities for you for sort of this vision of what our future for C.M.C.C.F is going to be. I'm going to introduce Don, who is from the Manitoba Association of Newcomer Serving Organizations. Lots of us in this room know who he is. Don supports through MANSO small centers, so anything that's outside of Winnipeg, looking at rural communities and helping all of the newcomer organizations that are supporting newcomers in our small centers in Manitoba. Don helps to sort of coordinate their activities. So he's a super vital role in the work that Settlement is doing here in Manitoba. So I just want to introduce him. He's going to give you a little bit of information about our next activity, and then I'll take over.
We're going to talk about dreaming, and I want to share with you a really old dream, and I know that because it's older than me, and I'm older than most of you. Almost 60 years ago to this day, Martin Luther King shared his dream. He had a dream. And that dream still inspires us today. If you've never heard it, just type in I Have a Dream, MLK, and you'll get it. Every year on January 15th, I listen to it, and every year it inspires me again. The core of his dream was that his children would be judged by the content of the character, not by the color of their skin. That's the core of his dream. Since then, so much of that dream has come to life, and we have so far to go. And that's what dreams do. They inspire us, they share us. And so in this next stage, I want to hear all of you say, I have a dream. And I want you to inspire us. And I bet you 60 years from now, there'll be some giant bald guy standing up here with a microphone saying, I'll be long gone, but there'll be somebody here saying, I remember when people in Winnipeg had a dream together, and it changed Manitoba and made it better. So have an amazing time doing your work together. Share your dreams, preach loudly and share, and thanks for doing your work. Thanks.
Awesome, Dawn. Dawn always makes me want to cry, just because Dawn always cries, and it's amazing. All right, so as you know, and you've probably seen as you were sort of wandering around the room, we've got these big posters over here. And we want to sort of visualize what all of the conversations that you had this morning in your themes and your groups, we want to sort of put them to paper now. We want to conceptualize a vision for your theme that C.M.C.C.F can use in the work that we're doing. So there will be a handout that's going to come around to your groups. You are going to stay in the groups that you worked with earlier. And thinking about, again, the themes that you have, you're going to put that to this paper here. So I'm going to read a little bit of a blurb. So it is now the year 2040, and we have accomplished everything that we most wanted in your theme. We've become so successful that websites feature us in their cover story. Our job is to spend the next, it's supposed to be an hour, but we're only going to do it for 25 minutes, describing what this cover story will look like. So when people write about your theme, when people want to discuss it, they want to put it on features, what is that going to look like? We want to know, what are the major headlines? What are the major images that will be shown? What are the sidebars? And we have to think about it as the story will already be written. So what is that story going to be? And if you don't know specific details, make them up. We want to know. We want to know what people are going to say. We want to be able to start to create information and ideas about things that were working well, that you experienced and that are working, and what you wish you could see being even better for the future. So you have Post-it notes at your table. As a group, you're going to discuss. There's 6 steps that you're going to go through. So I'll just explain each of the little features. And again, Martin and I will be around if you have questions for your group. And you all also have this on a handout on your tables. So the step 1 is use the brainstorm section, which is here, to capture your initial thoughts and anything that doesn't fit anywhere else. So think about, what is your vision for your theme? What's a catchy headline? What does that look like? Your cover, which will include the major headline, central images that convey the big story about your theme. Step 3 is quotes. These you can make up. Use this area to capture what people are saying about the potential success of your theme. So what are people saying about the group that's worth quoting, and who is of importance and who is saying it? Step 4 is to identify vivid images. So down here, you can draw them, you can type them out, you can whatever that looks like. Bring out the highlights of the story. So what kind of image supports your headlines? You know, with every news story you have, there's always a picture that's attached to it. Step 5 is your headline. So big headlines. We want bold, short sentences that convey the main story, key events, actions, and accomplishments. And then step 6 is sidebars. So support the cover stories with such materials as profiles of key people, small success stories that you invent. What are the supporting sidebar stories, and which one would look like the picture or graph or image. So for those of you that are talking about collaboration between communities, is there going to be a big story about maybe two ethnocultural communities that maybe haven't had a lot of exposure, they're working together? Could that be a story and a headline? What does that look like? If we're talking about youth leadership, maybe there was somebody who was a youth leader, or maybe a youth that came to Canada today but now is a prominent figure in the community and is doing extremely great work, and that's something that we want to highlight. What does that image of them look like? So think about that based off of your themes and the things that you said on your easels, and those like 5 main points that you came up with, come up with some headlines. So we're going to do some brainstorming. You can do that, again, using the resources at your table and then bring them up. Or you as a group can get up and just come work straight from this poster board, okay? And then we'll discuss after.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to go through this process pretty quickly. We originally wanted you to actually work on the actual boards, and we've decided let's make this as simple as possible. And because we have a time crunch, we want to move through this process and move to the next one, which is going to have you build the future together. And we're probably looking at ending by 2:15, if that's okay with everybody. If I can get your permission for that. Okay, thank you. So let's go around the room and let's just hear the one voice from the table giving us an idea clearly of their cover and their headline. And tell us how it is a vision for the future. Who would like to go first? There we go. Sungai, you going?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay. So we came up with, I think, like a really good combination of ideas that capture some of the discussions that we had earlier today. So for our cover, our headline is At the Table 2040. And for us, that represents everyone from every culture, every background being at the table and participating, and also being able to drive the bus in community. So we do have a couple of different headlines. I will pass it on to, yes, Maggie. Sorry, I'm like looking right at you. I'll pass it on to Maggie to start off with our first headline.
So the headline is gonna read, many names among city cultural communities, being MLAs, MPs, and city councillors.
And the second one will be blended society.
The third one will be at the table, communities discussing the educational curriculum and how to shape it to be more of encompassing the whole society, so that children grow knowing and understanding and accepting the value systems that are inherent in the communities, as opposed to now, which is sort of one-sided curriculum. That would be the table.
For me, like it's a housing and the medical industry. Housing is the first one because the person who is newcomer, they obviously need a place to stay, and when they first come, they don't have the background or anything to show, and the tenancy board here need that proof. But where the person is gonna go when it's like -50s here, right? And same thing for the medical industry. People like from different communities should get the accessible to the language, first of all, to get those answers in a timely manner to get the medical services here.
And the very last headline will be businesses, careers, and technology. So at the table, so for example, if we're looking at careers that are typically non-traditional, like aerospace, you get to be able to see different faces and ourselves represented in those communities. Oh, yes, our quote. Sorry, we managed to put together a quote. So, blended cultures of Manitoba, leading in innovation, education, economic prosperity, and social well-being.
Great. Good job. Who's next? 2 minutes. Yours. 2 minutes, please.
Our headline is very snappy. We talked about integration. For us, our headline is Manitoba leads Canada by having more than 30% of its MLAs from multicultural communities. That's our headlines.
And our quotes, or some of the quotes we had, is Manitoba becomes the first province in Canada to have more MLAs from multicultural communities, and moving forward in style through integration. And the last one, it's epic. More multicultural MLAs accepted in Manitoba.
Microphone, please. Thanks. Thanks, Carl.
In our table, we decided our headline was going to be Canada New Face. Our big title will be we have our first I cannot pronounce this word, racialized prime minister. So we will have our first rational prime minister, and our head will be the new face of Canada. So with that, we have also our headlines, the where you have them write it down there?
Yeah, the headline, the big story, and then the quotes, dreams come true. Yeah, and then in terms of integral leadership style, where you're talking about what kind of image support and headline actions, we talked about the integral leadership, and then we came up with this quote to support it. So we say leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that that impact lasts in your absence. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.
So our headline, what you see on the TV, is no limitation. Right now, you're accepted. No one is asking you, are you a Canadian? You know, because you're brown, because you're black, because you're white. You know, no limitation anymore. You know, I'm a Canadian for who I am, right? And just us being who we are through the passing down of generations from our parents, and now we're accepted. So no limitation.
It's also good to let the world know that they should know we have preserved our identity till date. So we are passing it on to our children and our children's children. So no limitations. The culture, the language, the food, everything is being passed on to the future generations. Now it's 2020. 2040, and the children know the language, and they are also being taught in school, as a community. Even some curriculum now have these languages, because the Canadian population has grown so big that there are so many cultures, so many languages have come in, and they are now being inculcated into the school system. And the children are free to speak their languages, no barriers.
I think, I'm going to end it off with the quote being, "I am home," which was, said by Zareen. But so overall, it's just an integration, including media sources like radio, having diversity of music so a person can hear their language, representation on television or social media, et cetera, et cetera. Who knows what 2040 will be, but maybe AIs can also be part of the language, continuity. So that's about it.
Great, thank you very much. So you have a really good sense of the themes that are emerging about the future. How do you feel about all those ideas you've presented? Feeling good about that? How have you been feeling about that? Can you actually talk about it from an emotional point of view? Can you think about it in terms of what are you seeing when you've actually been speaking about those visions? What are you seeing through your eyes at this moment? What are the images that are starting to appear when you start thinking about the visions you've identified, the headlines you've identified? What are the ideas that will connect those dots together for you? And the reason I'm asking that is we're going to move from dream to design now. So what you've created and spoken about, you're now going to build with your hands together as a team. So to introduce this process, I'm going to ask Rami to come up and just talk about the design stage of appreciative inquiry, and then we're going to get the work done. And just bear with us as we get some tools out for you. Rami, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. How are you feeling by the last stage of the day today? You want to go home? Not bored yet? Okay, well, first off, let me introduce myself. My name is Rami. I'm the project manager at ACOMI. And the reason I'm here for is we've been actually working on this event for a very long time. And ACOMI has to be part of that. So I'm really glad and honored to be around such a diverse and great community leaders. And in one place, lots of community leaders here and community partners. So when we talk about dream and design, and this is the last stage, it's actually the fun stage because it has the Lego part. We need to say that the design stage is appreciative. Inquiring is creatively planning how to turn dreams and aspirations into actionable steps. We've already talked so many times. Maybe we need to put things into action. And to do that, you need to manage it. So this involves collaborative discussions to develop specific strategies and initiatives. Everyone's input is valued to create a shared visions, action steps together. So this stage, we focus on breaking down the larger dream into manageable tasks, setting timelines, and defining responsibilities. You all consider what resources, such as people, time, and money, that are needed to execute the plans effectively. And this design stage promotes ongoing assessment and adjustment of the plans to ensure that align with the desired future and adapt to changing circumstances. The main reason for this day today, in my own perspective, is to put words into actions, and nothing better than building it in a game like a Lego. So by that, let me get back to Martin so he can actually explain more about the instructions and give you details about the third round. Thank you so much and have fun in the game. Thank you.
So each one of you have at your table the handout, and it gives the instructions for Lego. You're going to play with Lego now. So this is going to be a pretty fast process. Rami's bringing out your tools right now, and I'll explain how you're going to do it. And there's another box of Lego too. Okay. How many of you actually grew up playing with Lego? Not you? I just have to tell you a very quick story. I've been trained on serious Lego playing, which is this game. This is usually a $5,000 kit. So I went to nephews, relatives, and asked, can I have your Lego? And most of them said, and they all have they have grown-up adult children, and I'm like, so you still have it, you want to get rid of it? No, because when they come home, they want to still play Lego. So I had to go around and actually steal this from all my relatives with all the nephews and nieces who obviously lost their Legos, so they can't play with it anymore. So this is what we're going to do. It's going to be relatively fast. So you all come up with an idea of a vision for the future. So you're going to create and build that vision first, together. And then we're going to stop and you're going to talk about the meaning of that actual plan and the actual model that you've actually created. And then I'm going to ask you to build where we are now in terms of that vision. And the last part is, how do you bridge them? The first one's going to take a bit more time. And that's going to be very much, you are going to self-organize it. And you're going to play with this and you're going to be able to construct it together. So you have to play nice with each other. You have to actually look at the bricks that you want to take. And we are going to be taking pictures of it. So do not destroy the models after this because we still want to keep them. Any questions about Lego? Then this is the first task. No one seems to have a problem. This is your first task, each one of you. Each one of you come here quickly and get 7 bricks. Right now, please, right now. 7 bricks only. And I'll tell you what you're going to do with them. So here is your task. That's just a play. That's just playing. It's not the major issue. So let me just be very clear about Lego. Why is Lego important? Why are we doing this? Because we actually think with our body, just to let you know. We learn cognitively and are influenced by the way the body actually interacts with the world that we're in. When we model our hands and tell stories that are very much based on the neuronal activity, our blood circulates in the body into critical areas of the brain faster. Do you know that 70% of our brain nerve endings are connected to our hands? So our hands build our ideas. That's really important to know. So here is the question or the statement I'm asking you to think about when you're actually going to be building your model of the vision of the future. Is think of all the images you've been talking about and thinking about, the way you've been feeling about it. And now what I want you to do in 20 minutes is build the model of the future that you actually described to us in your vision. Take as many as you want from here. You've got the base. You're now working as one group. So you actually have to coordinate. You have to plan this out together. You have to look at all the various blocks you have. And you're going to build it in that one base that I left with you. The green bases, blue, and I think the salmon base. And you've got 20 minutes to build the model of the future vision as you see it now. And then what's going to be important is when we come back in 20 minutes, is tell us the meaning of what you built. Okay? Are you okay with the instructions? 20 minutes, work together, build the future as you've described it for your theme. Okay? So you've got 20 minutes, let's go. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a walkabout. So we have one table over here, and you're ready to actually present it. Let us know the meaning of it, And what was the experience like in creating the model of your vision?
This is our image, and this, based on what the previous work we've done, is a racialized prime minister, dreams coming true. And this pillar here is representing all the training, the experiences that this prime minister had gone through to make this prime minister an integral leader, a leader who, remember the quote on leadership, where you have to build up a sustainable system that lives after you. So this leader has put up this sustainable system. If you see our beautiful sustainable system, we have him here. He's very environmentally friendly. He's very integrated with systems. There's no everybody is brought into the table to take decisions, and in terms of process management, he is involving all the stakeholders. So we have our green space, we have the bell tower. We have the bell tower here where we all gathered. We have this safe space where everybody, there's nothing like, you guys may said something about color, people not really talking about racialized, so you don't have to start saying, okay, accents or no accent. There's nothing like that here. This leader has been able to put, with the participation of all the stakeholders, we have the agencies here, we have the government here, we have private sector here, we have a school system here, we have affordable housing, we have our hospital, the ER section, less waiting time, we have we have our, you want to help me, someone? Yeah.
We have people have a helmet here because we're supporting the security of everybody when it's jumping to a new position or is jumping to a new opportunity is supported by the community. Therefore, this person have a helmet because it's being secure. The affordable housing, the Patricia was just mentioning it, is done with a green space and with the integration of everybody with a center place for all of them to have an opinion. Therefore, the affordable housing is attached to also the good medical attention that we have and the training that is given to people to jump to the future. We were talking about having a space that were also reachable for everybody, including people with different abilities. So therefore, they can reach here easily. There we have wheels because we have spaces that will not have any barrier for them to access. So all places will be accessible for absolutely everybody.
Okay, so we'll start off with basically we have a community hub right in the middle. We then all have different spaces, right, public spaces. So we have the government building where it's important for policies for cultural awareness. Right across from it is the cultural preservation offices. Hopefully it's designated for the purposes of integration and information. Healthcare, schooling, social media office, and of course the mall as well, with having access to outfits, cultural clothing, and so forth. So this is just like a framework. Hoping in 2040 it could be far more integrated, where that community hub, just like the other table spoke about, would not require all this explanation, where people can exist and just process through. So that's basically anyone else have a contribution? Statements? Okay, that's it for us. All right.
Thank you. How about this table over here?
So our table, we kind of designed it with what we said earlier, at the table. So we're building a community, or when in 2040, everybody will be at the table. So we have the table right in the middle, and it's fairly big enough to accommodate all of us. It doesn't matter where we are coming from, or what color, or what height, what length, we are all included. Any disability, whatever, we are all involved. So as you can see, we have this here. This is the school. The entrance is there. We have some apartments, so everybody will be accommodated. We have all the workers, all the people you see down here and around are the MLAs, the MPs, the city councillors, everybody. We have the police officers that we can all be included. We have the lighthouse, because we're developing some planes that will be flying, cars that will even be flying. We have our intellectual designers here, architectural design. We have an AI over here. Because, yes, yeah, that is how far we get into. Yes, yeah. And we even have, look, we have some of the AI personalities here all around. We have the police officer, we have any of the professions that you can think of. Any other one?
Yeah, the network and social. We all live in a social world right now, right? We cannot do without social media. So we have the Twitter. We have our Twitter building over here, and Facebook is over there, and yeah.
Any other future.
And I think she also included the flying car in there, so we will be flying cars in 2040 for sure.
I think that's like everything, like just encompassing everyone and being able to like communicate together, being at the table and building a community together. So.
And don't forget, we even have the soccer.
Oh yes, sports. Yes, the sports element. So all different sports. Bala FC will be the best. There we go.
What struck you about the process of working together to build with your hands?
I think it was the creativity. Like we all were able to contribute in our own ways and just like from our own different perspectives. Some of us have played with Lego, some of us haven't. And so just the, even for those who haven't played with Lego, it was just how creative because of how they've grown up playing with different items. And so bringing that.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to this table then.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. As you can see, ours is the most compact Lego building that you can see. Why? Because we are talking about integration. And this shows that we are all together. Diversity is our strength. Because as you can see from our building, it has so many different colors because we are all diverse in our different ways. And we still made provision for protection in terms of the future. We'll be there. We are all together. Because of our differences, we are stronger together. And as you can see, there's always room for growth. That's why the base is the most solid foundation, is the most solid part of our structure because of the integration policies that we have. Everybody is there, so we can always build upon what we have. And that's why the foundation is so thick and strong because there's always room for growth. And we know that in 2040, we'll all be together. In our diversity, we are growing, and that will be our strength. Thank you.
I think embracing all this is the fact that we have beautiful flowers here. This embrace our sustainable thinking because we're all thinking about the future, and the down basement is green, so we want to see more green. So that's all.
Does she want to say something?
One of the things that made us work effectively was the non-judgmental environment, that we were able to express ourselves. We are not afraid to make mistakes. Our accent wasn't an issue, so people were able to contribute freely into the process. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a question. If you think about in a year from now, you have policymakers doing the same activity with you, who may not know much about community, may not, or some may. How do you think that will go if you're actually doing the same exercise, asking about what the future of cultural communities would be? Would it be seen the same view, same vision?
I think their perspective will change a little bit because they make these policies just from their own ideas and their own perspectives, not from the community perspectives. So basically interacting with the communities themselves, I'm sure their perspective about some of these policies will definitely change.
Okay. Carola?
Let me dream with your question, because to me, having policymakers sitting down with us will be like, wow, please do so. I can see how we can have maybe because the experience, because the life experience and all what we have in this room is beautiful. we may have some hesitance from them, but at the same time, I think it will be positive because they will be enriched with our knowledge, they will be enriched with our life experience, they will be enriched with all the inputs that we have. I believe they may be, other than being fearful, I think they will feel happy to be able to have all this knowledge on their hands, something that they don't have maybe today, they could have it. And I think even I could feel fear of having people that come with a book that has things written down to do step by step. The Lego, a break in different pieces. Maybe we are the other pieces for the Lego they already have.
I also think this will kind of create an opportunity for policymakers to change some of the ideas. I'm not saying what they've done is not right or not good. Policies were made before most of us migrated here. So they set the rules already. It's okay, we kind of understand. We acknowledge that. All that we are saying now is we are growing. Many of us are here, and those policies have to change. So when we are at the table, we're gonna be speaking more, and hopefully they're gonna be hearing. I learned that repetition helps a lot, especially if you're working with, people who do not know. You repeat, they will understand. We want more opportunities like this, so we're gonna be talking, and hopefully they will understand, they will hear, they will change the policies. Take the schools, for instance. The schools were built before we came, so they have the program here as it is. Fine. Look at the apartments or the houses they build with 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, 3 bedrooms. Hey, we come with like 10 children. So they have to know, even the people building, our builders, or when they're doing the infrastructure and everything, they have to know to start changing and listening to us. And then when we come to immigration, family reunification is very important for us. We go with family. You want to know how many family members I have here now, or that we look after? We want that all to be included. So when we bring in our people, they will understand. They will change the policy. The policy won't deprive us of bringing our people. That's what we are saying.
I just want to say one thing. I think in the books, the Canadian Multicultural Act is there at federal level, and all provinces have these acts. So even in Manitoba, as we're discussing our table, it says we are all one society, united under one laws, values, aspirations, and responsibilities. All we are asking is these things come to the ground and reach every level of communities, so reach everybody in the society. That's all.
Anybody else want to make another statement? Because we don't know where this video is going to go, but I suspect policymakers will be listening to what we're saying now.
Yeah, I think my own contribution to this is that policymakers approach decisions from evidence, right? So it's good that they have the evidence right. So how do we get the evidence? As you already said here, is to have these voices on the table to define their problems, to define their needs, and define their concerns. And from there, they'll be able to now see how they'll be able to build the blocks of, formulating policies that are promote integration and policies that actually speaks to individual and collective interest. Because some of these policies may have intended consequences, and so they will have unintended consequences. So we want the intended consequences to be good policies, right? So by expanding on one sector of multiculturalism, they'll be expanding or harvesting outcomes in some other areas, which all comes together to form, one Manitoba, one society.
So we sound very hopeful moving forward. So one of the things, and just to let you know, our vision within the year is bringing communities and policymakers together on a range of topics. That's our vision moving forward. However we do that, we're going to need your help for that. So thank you for this activity. Thank you for building the future. And now we're just going to come to the end. We're going to ask Jasmine and Rami, if you want to come over here, please.
Okay, so I was saying that is very impressive. I was a little kid and I thought I'm good with Lego, but after seeing that, I was like, man, I am nowhere near these people. So that's amazing. So we're going to actually reflect on the whole day today, so it's more of like a sum up for today. And I'll be the interviewer today, and Jazz is gonna go ahead with the reflection. So, Jazz, the themes we discussed today were preservation of cultural communities, cultivating leadership skills, those are the themes, representation by promoting cultural sensitivity and responsiveness, and integration. What are some of the key takeaways from today's conversation and collaboration in conversation about the future of cultural communities in Canada?
Okay, well, first I'm gonna start off by saying thank you so much to everyone. I wish I had more time to hear your voices today. I'm so grateful that part of the conversations were documented. And also just creating partnerships and connections with all you folks to, again, contribute back to this crucial conversation, truly. It impacts all of our lives in how we are right now and how we will be. So first off, what we learned today was that communities are not a monolith. There are folks here from similar communities, part of different community organizations, folks who are here not as part of community organizations, but here as themselves and who it is that they are. So first and foremost, we are all grounded in our stories. They are all so different. It doesn't matter what nationality you are, what color you are, what communities you belong to, how you identify through your gender, through your preferences. We are all impacted by our environments. We all come from very, very diverse identities, experiences, which make us who we are. And what communities want is credit and control of their identity. They want freedom to be who they are and not corrected in their differences, but asserted in who it is that they are. I remember overhearing someone speaking about their child, and they said, where is it? They asked their child, why are you not being called your name? Recognizing that there are multiple identities within all of us, and that learning diversity means accepting diversity. And this creates power in language and is sacred. Again, our names, the languages that we come from, they all have inherent values that don't need to be translated to be understood. They just need to be understood that that is the value that they maintain. Within all of this, we also have responsibilities in the roles that we are in our families, in our communities, in our faith groups, in our organizations. This is all, again, around values and is all impacted by our material conditions. What does our housing look like? What do our jobs look like? How much control and autonomy and authority do we have in each decision that we make in our lives? These are all very important aspects that need to be understood in their nuances. This involves labor. This involves status. Some folks spoke about how coming, they felt welcomed. They had people at the airport waiting for them, receiving them, pointing them to directions. Others didn't have this experience. They came on their own and eventually have found people like them. So the ability to be received and accepted is extremely important. I also witnessed a lot of bravery in sharing. Some people also spoke about, I believe actually it might have been Trisha, spoke about compassion, not just compliance, in terms of what it is that we expect and want in our interactions. There was also conversations around invitation and respecting people's time in the invitation, that it must be culturally competent and inclusive, and that we require people in established positions in and outside of our identity groups to identify leaders and support them in their community and in their journey and who it is that they are. It requires allies with power to advocate, to force space, and we also deserve to celebrate these celebrations. We deserve joy, we deserve fun, and we deserve engaging experiences together to create that unity, to ground our sense of well-being. So we spoke, within these themes, we spoke about the freedom of expression, in not being again corrected. One example that was brought forth was accents. Someone might have an accent, and that is perfectly fine. They do not need to be corrected within it. That we require intergenerational commitment and integration. We also just explored concepts of home and the continuity of our identities, of our lived experiences of our past, of our necessity for respecting our daily needs, and opportunity to participate actively in our communities, in spaces of governance. We also spoke about identity regarding nationality, and that, yes, identity, whether someone is a citizen, whether someone is a permanent resident, whether they have temporary status, and integration also, that it must cut across all groups. Having a cultural organization to which to connect to and learn from is extremely important, and to be told that it's okay who it is that you are, if you're different, if you're not different, and that we need participatory governance within these systems.
So I have one last question, and we just wrap up everything. What does the future need to support us?
The future needs those who are here to make space, make more space. In considering all of the impacts to our daily lives, here, perhaps back home, perhaps our second back home, perhaps our third or fourth family, migration is an inherent thing among humans. And we do get the joy of being all together, but really ensuring that we are seen, which also includes representation at political spaces and at tables in which decisions can be made and will be made on our behalf, where we are seen and supported physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And that this involves sustainable practices in how it is that we conduct ourselves for social, economic, and environmental development, how it honors and serves each other, the lands on which we are on, whether we are here temporarily or not, we are still here and we are all contributing. And that these spaces must be, someone mentioned a never quit mentality. I know I experience this in my community. And the majority of you do as well. Coming from collective societies, we know we are all a part of and we all have roles, but really that integral leadership that is within all of us to find places that are comfortable and to create spaces that are comfortable for all of us to step into, walk into, and be ourselves. If anyone has anything else to add to that, I would absolutely welcome. I know we are way over time, and totally respect, yes.
We can try as best as possible to integrate within our own communities in Manitoba. But then we have to encourage our communities to integrate as well, to reach out, to go outside. So it's like an internal thing as well as an external thing for us to really grow and to develop as Manitobans and as Canadians as well.
We, as change agents, we do have a role to play as well. And our role is not limited to this participatory strategic planning, as I call it. Because oftentimes we call policy makers. Yes, policymakers might not have the perspective that we have, but it is our also responsibility to remember that change takes time. And our attitude towards influencing this change is very important. Take, for example, you have a boss in the office who doesn't see what you see, and then you are the one at the front line. Do you fight your manager? No, you don't. You patiently wait. If you have to learn the skill, tactical skill of making sure that your manager sees what you are seeing in order for you to achieve, because you are the one who are there at the front. You see what, you are the war front. You see what's going on. So I think that we also need to work on our attitude, our own thinking that our superiority, like I have been there before, and I had to discipline myself because it was like fighting the rock. What is going to be our approach in influencing policy, in talking to policymakers to say, okay, this is what we are seeing. How do we massage them? There are people that are already there. Put yourself in their situation. This is a rock that has been established over the years, and you want to come and tell me that it's not working, you're not doing well? No, they are. They have kept it and they've brought us. But we need to also refine our process to buy them in, to buy them over to the ideas, to what the reality that we are seeing on ground, so that our change would be effective. That's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Jazz, and thank you, Rami. Thanks for your very profound thoughts, Jazz. We're going to finish up in a minute, and first I want to thank you all for being with us for this entire day. But I want to give each of you, before I do some further thank yous, an opportunity to each share in one word, maybe two, but try to keep it to one, how you're feeling given your experience for the day. What does it lend you to feel and to think? And so if you can think of it in just one word, I believe there's still a microphone at each table. So maybe what we will do is we will start here at this table, and if the mic can just go around and each person just share one word, how are you feeling?
An agent of change.
Educated and open.
Hopeful. Looking forward to the brighter future.
Change is inevitable.
Emboldened.
Hopeful.
Blessed.
Amazing words and an amazing way of summing up our day. I know we're short of time, so I'm not going to give you a lot of my reflections. I'm going to just add one word to the list that you've already said, which is energized. Listening to all of you sharing in such an open way your lived experiences, your wisdom, your dreams for the future has led me to feel energized about what we can together accomplish. And I think all of that is reflected in the comments that each of you have shared as well. The other thing that I'll just very briefly mention, because it came up several times and Jazz mentioned in her comments as well, is hearing about diversity. But what struck me about when I was hearing in terms of comments about diversity is, in many ways, diversity is also our strength. Because it's, as many of you did in building your Legos, those images really spoke very strongly about how diversity, when we come together and share that diversity and celebrate that diversity, allows us to be stronger as a collective group and to have our voices heard. So today was really the first in our series of conversations about the future of cultural communities in Manitoba. We want to thank you very much for participating. I want to first also thank our community partners who have worked with us over the last number of months. They've been working with us for several years, but in this particular project for several months, in bringing all of us together, and also for their insights into how we could plan this and their suggestions of who we could invite. We also very much want to thank the team at U-Multicultural You've all been amazing in terms of working with us. We're looking forward to seeing the edited version of the workshop today, and we'll certainly let you all know when it's available for you to watch. We also thank the U-Multicultural team for your patience. I know we've gone over time, and we very much appreciate the fact that you've been able to stay with us during that period of time. And Shaw Studios for making this available for us, as well as hopefully a safe space for us to come together. We also want to very much thank the folks at C.M.C.C.F. and our board. Some of our members are here for their support in allowing us to move forward in this conversation. And there are other people behind the scenes who we won't have time to thank today, but we want to just acknowledge it. But thank you all for coming. You really are the ones who drive this process forward. And whether it's conversations in the future with regard to policymakers who we wish to bring into this process, it will be important not only to get them at the table and for them to listen, but will be even more important is for us to be able to convince them to take down their guard and actually play with us in building Lego together. So we will work on that over the course of the coming months. As I said, we will be having a series of additional conversations in the next few months as well. We will certainly let you know about those. Our next one is scheduled for October 25th, following our annual general meeting. We're hoping to see a number of you at that event as well. And we also want to thank our funders again, both our federal funder and the Winnipeg Foundation, because it's with them that we're able to move this forward. We will also finally just be sending you out a feedback form in an email in the next few days. Please provide us with feedback in terms of your experience and what we can do better for next time. And if there's something in what you say that we would like to follow up with you, we will be in touch, and we hope we can have a further conversation with you about that. So thank you for giving up your Saturday, particularly the Saturday of a long weekend. Enjoy the rest of the day and the long weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you again at our future events.